Hi everybody, my name is Dream and welcome to my channel. Today's video is something that I've actually been really kind of scared to put up, but it is our infertility journey. Just let me preface this by saying I have two wonderful kids, a 14-year-old, and then I have a little girl who just turned one a week or so ago. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. Me and my husband, when we first got married, we wanted to wait, like a lot of couples, to just have fun and live life a little bit before we had any more additional children. Coming into our marriage, there was already a child, so it was the three of us. So we were married for about 3 years, and then we thought it would be a great idea to try for baby number two. We tried for a year just having fun, you know what you do, just trying, and it didn't work. I went to the doctor probably after a year, and my doctor said, just relax, you're a type A personality, drink a glass of wine. They did their checks that they do, and everything looked good. So they told me to just relax, and it will happen. So we probably relaxed for 6 more months of just relaxing and trying, and still nothing happened. I went online and found a fertility clinic, which I don't just recommend doing. I think you should do like more research, and it's probably like the first or second one that I found. We contacted them and I went in for my first appointment. I remember I was already on like day 11 of my cycle, and the doctor said, oh, let's start an IUI. And it was like day 11 of my cycle. So we did no previous testing before my first IUI, and I remember we had to pay like $3,000 or $4,000, and we did the first IUI, and I was already like halfway through my cycle that month. Remember, no pre-testing, nothing. That cycle, of course, failed, and I was still devastated because I thought, oh, with a little bit of intervention, it's going to work out. And it didn't work out. We decided to relax, try some natural things, changing our diet, eating certain things, and doing all of those things for our fertility journey. And a year later, we were still not pregnant. I did research this time, and my husband did research, and we found a fertility clinic that was like well respected and had great success rates. And we went in for our first appointment. This appointment was drastically different than our other experiences. Before they even let you do anything, they ran months and months of testing, which was nerve-wracking. But leaving that first experience, I felt actually good, like this was something that was gonna lead us to eventually having a baby. So months and months of testing, and they come back, and we are a couple that they couldn't find anything wrong with my husband, and they couldn't find anything wrong with me. After all these testing, all, blood works and different things that we did, they couldn't find anything wrong with both of us. So we were in that category of unexplained, which made me feel happy, but then I kind of wish there was a problem so we could have corrected, if I feel like if there's a problem, you can correct something and then move on. The doctor informed us that our best course of action would be to do IUIs. And we were young, and it was, we had a good chance of it working. So to make a long story short, 4 IUIs later and all negative results, I have to say, like, during this process, I started feeling really, really, really low. Dreading people's baby showers, dreading family events. You're just being around babies and all this happiness, and I wasn't necessarily happy inside. So those were probably the toughest times. So we pan to, almost 3 years later, still no baby, failed IUIs. During this time, I also started doing acupuncture. After we had our 4th failed IUI, we took a break off and I did acupuncture and I did like more natural remedies. So I took herbs and all of those things that were disgusting. I'm not a person, I'm not good with pills, I'm not good with any of that, and it was gross. But I would literally, if they said stand on your head, drink this potion, do this, I was at the point that I would do anything to get a baby because we wanted a baby so badly. Mind you, this time I felt like everybody was getting pregnant. Unplanned, but everybody was getting pregnant and we were the only ones that were still hoping and praying and wishing for our little miracle. We had made a decision that in the beginning of the next year, 2016, we would start IVF. I was terrified. I was terrified. One, it costs so much money. We're a regular middle-class family. My husband is an engineer and I am a teacher, and we're just regular. And remember, we had another child, but we are regular people. So we have regular jobs. We make a pretty good living, but we are not rich or have tons of excess money by any means. So the thought of IVF, just the unknown and everything, was terrifying, scary, and so in the beginning of 2006, we embarked on our journey for IVF. But by this point, most people, when they go to IVF, you are at your lowest point. You'll probably do just about anything. So we started on our IVF journey. I was nervous. I was a little bit excited, but just nervous. We did the egg retrieval. We got out 35 eggs. 28, my numbers are probably a little bit off and foggy, but 28 fertilized. And we would watch. They would call you every day, and it's like nerve-wracking. I remember I would be in my classroom because I'm a teacher and waiting for the call, waiting for the message to see how many of our embryos, our babies, were going to make it. Getting down to the wire, we ended up with 9 embryos make it to like stage 5 blast stage, 5 to 6 day embryos. So we had 5 make it to that point, and we sent them off. We chose to do the genetic testing. From the genetic testing, only 3 came back that were genetically normal, and we were excited because I've heard stories of none of them coming back and then people having to do the egg retrieval all over again. So we were excited, and we started on, a month later, we had our transfer date, and we had a baby girl transferred in. We were so excited, nervous, just elated, ecstatic, just couldn't wait. And that baby took, and I remember it was like it was yesterday when they called me, April 23rd, 2016 at 11:35. They called me and my husband. We had him on speaker, and they told me that I was pregnant and my beta numbers were so high, and I was like over the moon. My pregnancy was amazing. I'm one of those rare, weird people that I thoroughly enjoyed being pregnant. That doesn't mean I had morning sickness from week 9 to probably week 16, where you're throwing up. But I was so happy that I had prayed for years to throw up, to have morning sickness, and finally my prayers were being answered. So in December 20th, 9 days early, 2016, our baby girl, Brooklyn James Rodriguez, came into the world, and it was literally the best day one of the best days of my life. I was so happy. You know, our IVF journey on the first try had worked, and I was beyond excited. So being a mom of a newborn, and you know, going through all those beginning stages, not sleeping, whatever, but I was just on cloud nine because I had our baby. So we had Dominic, our oldest, and then we had the baby. Probably 6 months in, I got it itching. Dominic is so much older than Brooklyn. We got the itching, like the itch again. And I wanted Brooklyn to have a sibling that was closer to her age, and that she could grow up with. And we did have the 2 embryos still left. And it had worked so great the first time that we went in to our fertility clinic just to hear about things. And they kind of said, oh, you might as well start now because, you know, remember it takes a couple months and then your transfer would be, you know, in a few months from now, closer to when your baby turns 1. So we said, sure. We had saved up some money and we were super excited to embark on this journey again and bring another beautiful, wonderful baby into our family. Our first appointment was great, just like how all the others went. We took tons of pictures with our doctor and our baby, since he contributed to us having her. The next appointment, when I was going in so they could view my uterus to make sure that things were okay, this is where stuff started to get wonky and different from how it had been the first time. They found that I had polyps and it was not smooth in there, like it had been for my last transfer. And nobody really had any answers why it wasn't that way. My period had come back for, this is TMI, so if you don't want TMI, then fast forward to this part. My period had come back after 4 months, even though I was nursing, and it was horrible. But I knew that it got better as you would go along, so I just waited it out. So we went in, they said I would need to have a polymectomy. Leaving this appointment, I was like bawling in tears and crying. I didn't ask any questions about the polymectomy. I didn't really know what it was. I was bawling that my process just wasn't working out the way it had done the first time. And I felt like this was a bump in the road, and I was feeling discouraged. Couple weeks later, cycle comes, polymectomy is scheduled for that next month, so everything is pushed back, transfer date, everything. I'm scared, but I'm excited. We'll probably insert some footage from that day right now of the polymectomy surgery, me going in and getting in my robe and everything. Got on my robe, my nifty socks, my funny hat, ready to go. I'm starting to feel a little nervous, but that's okay. So I'm in. Okay. So, polymectomy actually went great. They gave us pictures, my uterus was nice and smooth, and I was all set and all ready to take on baby number 2. And let's actually end the video here. It's going to be a 2-parter, so I will continue the rest of our journey in a little bit. So please click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like this video.